Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Bridget O'Shea. I'm the Compliance Manager for Department of Procurement Services. I'd like to thank you both for coming down this afternoon. Together, Gabriel Rodriguez, he's our Senior Compliance Officer, will be presenting to you Compliance 101. So, I'm going to go through our agenda. We plan to cover a lot today, from what our compliance unit does, as well as the resources that we utilize to manage that. So to begin, our team will review compliance plans before a contract is awarded and assess whether or not they are actually responsive. And we'll talk more in detail as far as submitting a compliance plan, the Schedule Cs, and certifications and all that come with it. And then once the contract is awarded, we monitor the contract goals and requirements. So if minority and women-owned businesses, contract goals are applied to that contract, we monitor that. For our construction projects, we have the Chicago residency as well as the local residency requirements, and of course the equal employment opportunity as well. And in order to do all of that, we utilize our certification and compliance software, also known as C2, as well as our certified payroll processing system, which is LCP Tracker. We have field analysts that will go out and conduct site visits, and yeah, so we do a lot. We have a lot of resources. So let's just jump right in to talk about the different schedules. So there are various types of schedules we could potentially see based off of how a bidder or proposer intends to carry out their contract compliance goals. So the Schedule B is an affidavit with the M&W as a joint venturer. So it only applies to those that are partnering as a joint venturer. The Schedule C is the letter of intent. That letter of intent is specific to the certified firm, whether it's an MBE or a WB, and the services they plan on providing. The Schedule D that we see is the actual compliance plan. So that the bidder or proposer submits to us, outlining all of the certified firms they intend to use in order to meet or exceed the participation goals. And finally, the Schedule H. The Schedule H, this is used for the prime bidder to document their good faith efforts. So if they were unable to meet those contract specific goals, then they would be submitting those documentation. So here we talk about a proper compliance plan submittal. And a proper compliance plan submittal is submitted. It can be rejected as non-responsive if the bidder fails to submit one or more of the following in the bid or proposal. So we would want to see that Schedule D, that's the compliance plan outlining their subcontractors, their minority or women businesses, documentation of good faith efforts, or a full or partial waiver for those contract specific goals if they are unable to meet them. So I'm sorry, I'm looking at the screen right behind you guys. I'm seeing what you guys are seeing. So next I'd like to spend some time to go over what we do as it actually pertains to reviewing a compliance plan. So again, the compliance plan is the D. It outlines all of the certified firms that they intend to utilize, the bidder or proposer intends to utilize. In conjunction, Schedule Cs are submitted. The Schedule Cs are the letter of intent by that subcontractor outlining what they're going to be performing on that contract. If it's an actual service or supplies, we would be able to detect that on the Schedule C. In addition, we look at the certification letters. So we're looking at that firm, how they're certified, whether they're a minority or woman-owned business, as well as the areas of specialty that they're certified in. So now we have these two documents side by side. We have our Schedule C describing the services, and we're looking at that certification letter to compare and identify if in fact they are performing in that area of specialty that they're certified in. Additionally, we more often than not will ask, if we don't receive them, for quotes or proposals that reflect that agreement between that subcontractor and the proposer, the bidder. It's not uncommon for our compliance unit to reach out, whether it's directly to the prime bidder or the subcontractor, to ask for additional clarification. More often than not, it happens, and it's just, again, to make sure everything is in agreement and the documents speak for themselves. So there are some common mistakes that we see in our compliance plans that we review. And in the next few slides, we're going to go over actual Schedule C so you could identify with me what those mistakes are. So some of them are incomplete descriptions of work. Mentor-protege question, if the mentor-protege is not answered. The subcontracting levels, the supplier participation, or the second-tier subcontractor. So here we will see the Schedule C. And so I've kind of highlighted some key areas. So the project name should always be listed. The project name should always be listed, as well as the certified firm, the subcontractor, as well as the prime. The specification number should also be identified. The next section talks about the description. Now there's 3 lines available for you to be able to describe in detail what they are doing. 2-word descriptions, we deem it as it's not enough of information. The more detail, the better. If those 3 lines are not enough, we welcome attached documents to support whatever it is that subcontractor is going to be providing. And then the pay item number, the quantity, total dollar amount, that dollar amount should again coincide with what we see on the C to the Schedule D. The second page of the Schedule C talks about subcontracting levels. This, more often than not, is not filled out. So this is a question of our subcontractors, the subcontractor listed on the form, if they're going to be subcontracting out to another certified firm or a non-certified firm. If they're not going to be subbing out any of the work, it's simple, it's a 0 in both areas. If they are subcontracting out that work, they would identify what that percentage is and who they're subcontracting that out to, whether it's a certified firm or a non-certified firm. If they are subcontracting that out to a certified firm, we want to know who they are. We want to know what they're doing as well. So again, more documentation to support that. And then finally, the mentor-protege question. So that question, more often than not, is also overlooked. So you just want to be able to pay attention that the Schedule C is in fact filled out in entirety. Okay. So now we're going to talk about commercially useful function. And this is really important to what we do in compliance, whether it be before a contract is awarded, when a contract or a project is going on, as it pertains to their performance. So what I want to do is actually read for you the complete definition of commercially useful function as it's defined. It means the responsibility for the execution of a distinct element of the work of the contract, which is carried out by actually performing, managing, and supervising the work, evidencing the responsibilities and risks of a business owner, such as negotiating the terms of subcontracts, taking on financial risk with the contract or its subcontract, responsibility for acquiring the appropriate lines of credit and or loans, or fulfilling responsibilities as a joint venture partner as described in the joint venture agreement. And so what I want to emphasize is this is a three-pronged approach. As you can see, performing, managing, supervising. If that's the only thing you remember out of that long definition I just read, it would be those three terms, right? Are you performing the work? Are you managing your crew? Are you supervising and overseeing them? Are you using your own equipment? This is big. This is what we look for in a Schedule C. This is what our field analysts look for when they actually are out in the field conducting those site visits. So next is how we count participation. So you may be familiar with NAICS codes as it pertains to certification. And what's important for us in compliance is it tells us what that firm is certified to do within that area of specialty. They could be certified in one code or several codes based off of their certification status. They function in, or I apologize, I'm not going to go into all of the details as far as certification, but again, it tells us what type of firm it is and what they're certified in. So if they're certified as a supplier, this tells us they're certified as a supplier and how participation credit is granted. So for example, suppliers certified MRWs, they are given at a 60% credit. So with that said, if I'm a supplier, I'm a certified WBE, and I'm going to be supplying $100 worth of material to you, I'll receive that $100, but you will only get credit for $60 of those supplies that you purchased towards those contract goals. Your self-performance, as far as a certified firm, manufacturers, those are at 100%. The big differential is with the suppliers and how credit can be granted and how we look at it. And that's something that time to time does come up in our compliance reviews as well. Now, I introduce Gabriel Rodriguez. Hold the applause.
I was told that I move my hands a lot, so don't mind me as I walk around. Okay, you have done all of your pre-work. Now the contract has been awarded. Now it's up to you, the user department, and us to start working together. What we got? First, we are going to start monitoring those goals and those commitments that you sign up for when you negotiate and when you enter into the contract. First one, your M, W, and DB participation. You said, I'm going to have a specific amount of people for a specific amount of percentage. The first part of the circle, that is through the C2 system. That's the certification and compliance system. The EEO, whether or not you have your new workers, laborers, apprentices, females, and minorities. That is also done through the LCP system. There are two databases that we have. Both of them at the end will give us the end result, whether or not you achieve what you said that you were going to do. The Chicago Residency, that is also through the LCP system, which we're going to address in a little bit. The local residency, that is specific to contract. Is not always applicable, but is specific to each contract. So just bear in mind, the first one is the C2. The last three, the three subsequent to that, is the LCP Tracker system. Okay. Now, what the C2 system does is a TBT. It tracks payments. How does it do that? Once you have submitted your invoices to the city processes your payments, and the system gets updated, it will automatically, as soon as the payment is fed from the financial system into the C2 system, the prime, whoever it happens to be, will get an email saying the city has reported a payment for you. That will be the first one, the to prime from the city. At that point, you already know that based on the invoice that you submitted, that you have payments that you need to go and report based on this update you had, suppliers that you were encompassed into that invoice that you submitted. So now you have to sign into the system and report the payments to the M and the Ws or the Ds that were working for you at that point and that earned you that money. The B part of the TVT is the verification. That requires that once you submit the payment to me in the C2 system, I will also get an email. Once you go into the system, put the amount of the payment, and you save, I will get the email of whoever the contact is on behalf of the sub, saying, Mr. Pizza has already reported a payment to you. Please go ahead and log into the system, review, and confirm. More likely, you're going to put the check number, the amount, the invoice, whatever other information you require to put in there. I will go and confirm, or I will dispute it. That is the verification. I am doing that verification as a sub. Then the trending part, the last letter of the TVT. That helps us to identify what is the progress that you are making in attaining the goals that you originally committed to. Are you below goal? If you are below goal, hey, what's going on? You haven't reported payments. You have not reported payments. Please make sure that you log into the system, so on and so forth. That's when we start more interaction with the user departments and with the compliance plan. Each contract gets assigned a compliance officer, so it's easier for you to have somebody to go to. The next system is the LCP Tracker. That is for all of the labor and wages, okay? It's a database, and once you are assigned a contract, the contract is set up in the system. It is designed for the prime contractor, similar to the C2 system, to report on wages, payrolls for everybody that you got working in that specific contract. Each one independently has the opportunity to go and load all of the payrolls that have been paid. They can be done manually. They can be automatically fed through your payroll system, or they can be uploaded into the system. That will help to track directly and indirectly how you are meeting the EEO, the CRO, and the local residency, because those were the commitments that you agreed to when you signed the contract. Are you clear so far with me? Okay. That is also used to, similar to what Bridget was talking, what relates to the wages, that the point the contract was awarded and all the different specificities of the contract, okay? Now we go to the field analyst. The field analyst these two individuals are our eyes and ears out in the field. While we are monitoring your contract in here, they're out there at the stretch of our arms. Their main functions are two. One, our assistance in regards to checking out what's going on, and the second one, they do site visits for certification. If there is a business that want to be certified, for example, for a warehouse, or for a seller or a distributor, or professional services, they go out and they validate that whatever you put in the application is correct. That if it's a W, there is a woman actually performing what it needs to be performed in order to meet the W criteria. That's what they do for the certification part. At the compliance, that's when they are doing, remember the CUF, the CAF reviews, commercial useful function, that's what we'll be doing, and area specialty. That's part of the review that they will be checking. In regards to the compliance and certification, those are the two main areas that they concentrate on. Now, what the site visits, what do they entail? One is, the first one is in regards to the EEO part. Who is on site? What is the gender who is on site, the race, and the trade? What are they actually doing? Because we need to know if you are supposed to be doing landscaping according to what we reviewed, but you are there erecting walls, we have a little bit of an issue, don't we? That's a conflict. You are doing not a commercial useful function, so we need to always have to be checking those. In the employees' interviews, that's when we need to determine the CRO. Are you meeting those goals? At those points, more likely, they are going to ask you for your ID. As always, we ask the primes, please do not be alert. We're not shutting anything down, just provide us with your ID, because we just need to validate, are you living in the city of Chicago? And if it's a project that applies to the project area residency requirement, that you are within those parameters. Commercial useful function. Are you driving your own trucks while you're driving her truck? Are you doing what you are supposed to be doing? Are you using somebody else's employees? That's a commercial useful function. You're certified to do walls, to erect cement walls. Why are you doing the rebar? Why are you doing the landscaping when that's not what you're supposed to be doing? That is the commercial useful function part of what the field analyst does while he's out and about. Job review board, making sure that all required posters are on site and they're visible. That if somebody else comes up, it's like, is this a punch up or what are you guys doing out here? So that everything is tight and buttoned up. Once you have reported the payments, both in situ, payments are confirmed, all the payrolls are in the system, site visits have been completed, the project has come to an end. Then is when we do a contract closeout. At that point, we take all pieces and we start doing the assessment. At that point, more likely construction project, you will receive what we call final quantities, meaning everything is tied up. This is how much we paid on the contract. Then we start making our assessments. Did you meet your M and W and D goals? Yes or not? Did you have all the total hours that are required for the EEO, for the CRO, and for the project area residency requirement? If they are not, we will issue the preliminaries, we'll make the assessments, come to an agreement if there is any damages that need to be assessed. If everything is fine and above approach, is closed, contract is done. At this point, are there any questions? Okay.
Oh, sorry. What's the difference between a vendor and a subcontractor? Like, I mean, if we have like a certified minority business but they're inevitably going to they're going to buy some gasoline to use their forklifts or whatnot. I guess when you say the subcontractor gets like a smaller percentage.
For the supplier credit, you're asking?
Well, that's another question too. But yeah, I guess what's the difference between is a supplier like a distributor? Is that what you mean by that?
So to your question, I'm going to supply fuel for your trucks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm totally a supplier, 60% credit. So if I'm charging $100 for those X amount of gallons, you're going to pay me that full amount, but as far as compliance and counting that credit, it would be given at a 60%.
Is it because you didn't manufacture the fuel?
Yes.
So because you're going and repurchasing that. So if you were distributing, if you were a food service distributor and you bought meat from 100 different places and we bought meat from you, that's a supplier, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, for sure. And then I guess the other one was, yeah, when you have, what's a subcontractor, I guess? Is that...
So throughout the duration of our presentation today, we use that term a lot. And so that was really specific to our certified firms, our MBEs, WBs that are performing as a subcontractor on a contract.
So we're the prime contractor if we were awarded the contract, and then we get these subs that supply us fuel or ice or whatever. Okay,
yes,
for sure.
Those are your subcontractors.
Okay.
Let me introduce Monica Jimenez. She's our deputy.
Hi, nice to meet you. How are you?
It's basically anyone who's working under you is considered a subcontractor.
Okay.
Whether it's on the professional side, a supply, a service, they're working under you. We're considering that a subcontractor.
For sure. Okay, that makes sense. Cool.
What other questions?
I had one more question that you just touched on, I think, but is the veterans thing is new?
So the veterans is specific to the certification, and I believe that is treated as a bid incentive at this time. Our City of Chicago is now certifying firms as veteran businesses. I believe Cook County already does, so we have a reciprocal agreement
sure.
where we accept that as part of the certification status for those firms.
So then down the line, will there be like VBE goals to meet?
Potentially. Probably.
Okay.
The compliance 101?
Yes.
Yes.
You open close.
That's fine.
I think that's all the questions I have. Oh, the EEO, is that different than like your EEO requirements? Like if our HR department thinks we're in compliance, are we likely also in compliance with that stuff with you, or does the city have, like if we have a restaurant operating in the city, are we likely in compliance already, or do you have stricter requirements the city of Chicago does for their own contractors?
So the way we look at EEO is, so for example, with our construction projects, those are the commitments that that prime bidder would come in with and commit to utilizing female apprentices, female laborers, minority journey workers, minority laborers, apprentices. So it's specific to those trades and classifications.
Okay, but if we hadn't made any commitments other than what was already
Right. It wouldn't be
Illinois or
applicable.
Chicago law, it's not different, okay.
And EEO, Equal Employment Opportunity, only applies to our construction contracts.
Okay.
That are city funded. And it's, in essence, it's actually a bid incentive for our farm contractors that in utilizing minority and females in specific trades.
For sure, okay. So,
Any other questions?
I don't think so, Kelly, did you have anything?
You're the question guy.
Okay.
Got it done.